After 9 years with my boyfriend, I'm questioning everything. If you don't move, I'll take the job, he said, yet we're still caught in his family's chaos. I'm tired of being the emotional support while he watches porn during our few intimate moments. Am I too harsh for wanting more? My boyfriend recently obtained a job in another state across the country, and I did not wish to relocate to the state where he is going. For context, he and I have been together for nearly 9 years, and he has never had stable employment. From 2018 to 2023, he changed jobs frequently because he was not earning enough money for the amount of work he was doing. In 2023, he experienced severe burnout, and the state we were living in had a very high cost of living. So he decided to quit his job when our lease ended and move us back home with his parents in another state until he found another job. We were only supposed to stay with his family for 6 months at the most until he found new employment. That 6 months turned into 2 years. He recently found another job that required him to relocate to a very rural town on the other side of the country. I did not want to go, and he told me that was acceptable. If I chose not to go, it would not prevent him from accepting the job. I know he felt compelled to take it because his family recently presented us with an ultimatum, saying we had to leave their house by the summer. He did not want to accept this job due to its location, but he felt he had to. I was very unhappy and told him I would not accompany him. He suggested that this might lead to a breakup. I inquired why we could not just maintain a long-distance relationship. He replied that he did not want that. However, he later discussed the situation with his father, who stated that a long-distance relationship would not be such a bad idea. Consequently, my boyfriend changed his mind and agreed to a long-distance relationship. I decided to move to a large city in the neighboring state where he resides. There will only be a 2-hour flight for him to take to visit me. Here is the issue: I am beginning to have second thoughts about our relationship. I am exhausted from constantly moving. In the 9 years we have been together, we have relocated out of state twice, and now we are preparing for round three. I used to enjoy moving when I was in my 20s and early 30s, but it is starting to take a mental toll on me. My boyfriend does not have friends, and I am not sure why. He is very social but has no friends outside of his online gaming friends. I manage to make friends wherever I go, even though I am not particularly social. I have made close friends in every place we have lived, and I am simply tired of forming attachments only to have to say goodbye, especially with this current move since we returned to our home state where I reconnected with many old friends. It has been very difficult to say goodbye to them this time around. Another issue is the lack of intimacy. This has been a problem throughout our entire relationship, and I have discussed it with him several times. I am tired of our sexual intimacy being one-sided. For the past 9 years, he has only had sexual intercourse with me a total of 20 times. He prefers oral sex but is otherwise disinterested. I have always had to plead with him to have sex with me. He never kisses me on the mouth ever. Throughout our relationship, he has never made out with me. Additionally, 80% of the time I am giving him oral sex, he pulls out his phone and goes straight to Pornhub. This truly hurts my feelings, and when we first began dating, I begged him repeatedly to focus on me instead of watching videos while I perform oral sex. He refused. I even cried a few times, and he told me to stop being unreasonable and that if I was not okay with it, I should prepare for work so he could play with himself in peace. He stopped for a while, but around year 4 of our relationship, he resumed this behavior, so I ultimately gave up and accepted it, even though it still hurts me. A further concern is the lack of stability. As I mentioned, we move frequently, and he changes jobs often because he is never satisfied with his salary. He is in substantial student loan debt and is also in major debt to his parents, who have funded a lot of his moving expenses. Most recently, he has put me into $6,000 worth of debt because, over the past 2 years, I have been the only one working. He has taken half of my paycheck to pay towards his credit card bills. He has accumulated significant debt due to not working and relying on his credit card for almost everything. He even used it to buy me a new laptop for Christmas, which I appreciated, but I wonder if he truly bought it for me if I am the one providing him with money to pay down his credit cards. He rarely gives me compliments about how I look, and that also hurts. When we go out to bars and nightclubs, I always notice him checking out other women and commenting on how attractive they are. He becomes excited when he sees young college-age girls wearing minimal clothing while walking down the street. We frequently visit bars, and this has always bothered me, but I tolerate it because he allows me to have a friend with whom I can be intimate on the side. I suspect he does this out of guilt because he knows he does not have sex with me himself and is attempting to compensate for it, which I appreciate. However, it pains me that he never wants to have sex with me and prefers that I have sexual relations with someone else. I am beginning to realize that I am developing feelings for my friend with whom my boyfriend permits me to be intimate, and it seems this friend has feelings for me as well. We have known each other longer than I have known my boyfriend, and he makes me feel beautiful. He frequently compliments me and has never once told me that other women are more attractive than I am. He is silly and goofy and does everything he can to make me laugh, while my boyfriend is more serious and uptight and does not often embrace silliness. My boyfriend can be playful but not frequently. He does not watch pornography and has expressed that he finds it stupid and unrealistic. I once vented to him about my boyfriend's pornography issue, and he suggested I should leave him for that alone. He remarked that he cannot understand why any man would watch pornography when he has someone like me, an attractive and passionate woman by his side who deserves intimacy. This friend also confessed to me that he was very sad when I moved out of state 6 years ago and was afraid he would never see me again. To be honest, I thought about him often during my absence. I also genuinely like him a lot because I feel protected and secure with him. He owns his own house, his own car, and has a stable job that he has held for 12 years. Although he has a modest income and a modest house, he is still stable and demonstrates very protective and possessive traits which I find appealing. He exudes a very masculine presence which I adore. My boyfriend, while not feminine, does not exercise much, drinks beer frequently, and is somewhat lazy. Even his parents have commented that he spends too much time playing video games and should engage in something more productive, even when he is not working. Additionally, there are cultural differences. I am Latina and he is white. His family has often made comments behind my back over the years, suggesting that they believe I am too aggressive and he has never defended me. They fail to understand that I experience a lot of discrimination at my job from customers, and when I come home to discuss it with my boyfriend, he has mentioned that they have privately said I seem too touchy and aggressive and might even be imagining things. They do not comprehend why I am frequently angry. No one in his household has worked in customer service, so I believe that because of cultural and social differences, they perceive me as aggressive and problematic because they are unaware of how customers can behave. My boyfriend also becomes upset with me when I vent about work and how people treat me, yet when he has issues and wants to share, he expects me to listen attentively. There are still reasons why I am trying to make this relationship work. My boyfriend has been very supportive of me financially in the past, but it is always in the form of a loan. He will lend me money for medical appointments or dental visits, but I always have to repay him. I feel that since we have been domestic partners for this long, I should not owe him money for necessary expenses. Whenever I have to visit the emergency room, I always end up paying for that out of my own pocket. I also feel guilt. We have been together for so long. I have discussed my thoughts about breaking up with him with my friends, and they have all made me feel guilty by telling me how devastated he would be. I detest breaking up with people, and each time I have done so, I have burst into tears and felt immense sadness and guilt for months. 9 years is a significant amount of time to end a relationship, and I am concerned that if I leave him, he might spiral into a severe depression and feel lonely. The thought of this makes me very sad. I love him, and I fear that if I break up with him, he will hate me and never want to speak to me again. The idea of us not being friends anymore after 9 years genuinely frightens me. I know of some divorced individuals who are able to remain friends and occasionally speak with each other after their separation. I previously asked him if after a breakup he would still occasionally speak to me, and he replied no, which hurt me. Lastly, I worry about judgment from his parents. They have been very gracious to both of us by allowing us to stay with them, and I am currently borrowing 1,000 from them to move to the new city I am relocating to. I intend to repay them as soon as possible. However, I will still feel very guilty if I ultimately break up with him down the line. I fear that his parents will view me as a gold digger. I did not request to borrow money, they offered it to me. I attempted to decline, but they insisted. I also reminisce about all of our sweet moments and the enjoyable experiences we have shared, and those sentimental feelings keep me attempting to hold on to making this work. In summary, I am contemplating ending my relationship with my boyfriend of 9 years due to a lack of intimacy, a lack of stability, and his preference for pornography. Story 2. Caught in a tangled web, I told my girlfriend I can't keep faking it. Her betrayal stung from that Halloween night where boundaries shattered, yet I found myself questioning, did it mean anything? Now, as doubts loom, can I escape this emotional storm? My girlfriend and I met in 2023 through a mutual friend at a college event right before graduation. We did not interact much at the time. Fast forward a few months and we gradually became friends. She had just ended a toxic relationship at the beginning of the year and I was fresh out of my long-term relationship. We talked about our exes, work, life, friends, and more. She essentially became my best friend before she became my girlfriend. I truly appreciated her because she listened to me, was always very supportive, and offered me advice when necessary. However, reflecting on it now, she exhibited some odd behavior when it came to me interacting with other girls romantically. She felt as if I was distancing myself and only focused on them rather than on her. My other friends did not share this sentiment, but they are primarily male. At one point, I remember my now girlfriend confiding in me about being bisexual at a restaurant, and I brought up the other girl I had been talking to while I was slightly intoxicated. This ultimately led to a major argument, with her claiming I was not supportive of her as a friend, and it ultimately ended our friendship for several months, before I reached out to mend things because I felt guilty. During that time, I told her that I still wanted to be friends but also wanted to ask the other girl out whom I had mentioned while drunk. She was extremely disappointed and hurt, basically saying it would not be possible and that our friendship would not be the same. I ultimately chose my girlfriend over the other girl because I had only known the latter for a few months and was uncertain about her as well. Fast forward a few more months and my girlfriend and I began to grow even closer. We started to hang out regularly, I was invited to family events and I met her mother among other things. It was becoming increasingly unclear where the lines were drawn, and our relationship had formed a romantic connection without the title. Personally, I did not see her that way. I cared for her deeply but did not view her romantically or find her physically attractive. Eventually, we both agreed that we would not develop feelings because we did not want to cross that boundary, but, well, it happened, and we crossed it entirely. On Halloween weekend the following year, my girlfriend was invited to several parties that we attended. The first night was just a casual gathering. We got drunk and then returned to her place. She lives with her mother and sister. She was intoxicated and I was coming down from my high as well, so we sat down on her couch and she began reaching for a hug. I thought nothing of it, so I went in and hugged her. At some point, she started to hold my jawline and drew my face close to hers, as if she was trying to kiss me, but then moved me aside, claiming she wanted to go for a walk to sober up. I was taken aback because I thought we had agreed not to cross any boundaries, so I suggested we go outside since I wanted her to sober up a bit before she could sleep and I could leave. After our walk, she instructed me to go to her room and I helped her over and laid her down on the bed. She then asked me to lie next to her, which I did. From there, she started to do the same thing with my face and began kissing my cheek. At that point, I was unsure about what was happening because there was a lot of sexual tension in the room, and we had never experienced anything like this before while intoxicated. Things escalated, and eventually we ended up making out on her bed. I was in shock and told her we needed to stop because this felt wrong. She pulled me back in to continue kissing and then told me we should hook up. We kept making out, but I maintained that I did not want to engage in that because her mother and sister were in the rooms next to us, and that would be extremely disrespectful. She kept pleading with me, saying, "Please, please, please," and being the non-confrontational person I am, I eventually gave in and ended up going along with it. Afterward, we fell asleep, and the next morning was awkward. I felt incredibly strange. I struggled to look at her, but she simply asked me to talk to her and give her a hug before I left. It ended up happening again the following night at the second party we attended. For the next week, our relationship felt awkward. When we first met to discuss everything, I told her I did not know how I felt about the entire situation because we had established a boundary that we were not supposed to cross. But she pointed out that I was still kissing her, so I must have felt something. She asked if I felt lust or actual feelings for her, but honestly I was unsure at that moment, because if I said I did not have romantic feelings for her, she would have interpreted that as pure lust and accused me of using her for sex. I felt compelled to say there must have been some romantic feelings, which there were, but they were so minimal that I genuinely did not know the difference between the two. Eventually, we both acknowledged that we had romantic feelings for each other and began to date, but deep down, I always had doubts about genuinely having feelings for her. I just was not certain how to communicate all of that, especially since I felt pressured due to the significant leap we took by hooking up. I did not want her to feel used. At the time I am writing this, I have been dating her for 4 months, and we recently attended a festival with some of my friends, which was dreadful. I used to smoke and she was not okay with it because she did not like smoking. Even after I tried to explain to her that I seldom smoke now, we ended up arguing because we disagreed on the topic. On the final day, she completely crashed out on me almost every hour throughout the night, which literally ruined my evening and the last day of the festival. I could not enjoy several different artists that I wanted to see. I also had to take care of her because she was inebriated. I just felt so exhausted, and there were numerous times I explained to her why I was so upset, expressing my desire for us to compromise and enjoy the night. Now that we are back from the trip, I am simply exhausted. I feel like I want to break up. My friends do not like her anymore because she passed out on them a few times as well and left them feeling like they could not hang out with me. She was also dampening the mood by saying some artists were mediocre, even though their performances were outstanding. It was all quite irritating. So I approached her with all of this, expressing that I no longer wanted to be in a relationship, and that I felt incredibly frustrated and annoyed by her behavior during the trip, and how I was uncertain if I actually liked or loved her. She reacted with hurt but also claimed that our friendship and our current relationship meant nothing to me. She argued that I did not even give her time to process the trip or at least try to initiate a conversation about wanting to break up. I told her that I truly valued our friendship and cared for her deeply, but I could not continue if I had doubts about this relationship or felt like I did not genuinely like or love her. She expressed that it was very unfair of me to say that, as it made it seem like everything we shared in the past meant nothing, which I disagree with. I did a lot for her out of care and love, just as I do for many people in my life. She also questioned why, if I had doubts about the relationship, I asked her out or why I did not bring them up for us to discuss. I explained that I was genuinely in the moment when we first started dating, making it difficult for me to comprehend my feelings. As for my doubts, I did not know how to approach them, being the passive person I am, but now I am confronting the issue directly and wanting to leave because I do not think it is fair to continue pretending. Anyway, I feel terrible for effectively throwing away a close friend who once meant a lot to me and now my girlfriend, but I also believe it is the best decision given everything we have experienced. Am I being gaslighted through any of this? I am somewhat scared, and I feel as though she is trying very hard to guilt-trip me and make me feel awful. How should I proceed from here? We are currently on a break and will be meeting to talk soon. To summarize, I am trying to break up with my former friend and now current girlfriend because I am unsure if I truly like or love her, and I am uncertain how to communicate this effectively.